I redid my parents' yard 7 years ago, and I want to give you guys a walkthrough tour on how it's doing generally and what kind of maintenance is required to upkeep the yard over time. So different yards require different kind of maintenance. So obviously if you're pouring concrete, that might mean that you want to seal it every once in a while. If you're using lumber, that might mean cleaning it and also staining it. So it just depends on like what things you're doing in your yard. Obviously plants change as they grow, sometimes they die, and so those things need to be replaced. And so I want to show you an area that has largely been untouched after it was installed and show you how I'm going to fix it. So come on back. One of the first things I want to show you is this bridge. Functionally, it's great. It just is a little ugly. It's dull. It's lost its stain. It's absorbing water at this point. So what I want to do is power wash it. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a cleaner. And then I will also stain it so it brings back that vibrancy to this space. As you walk through here, the gravel, I've already started removing some of this gravel, so it didn't look totally this bad. But the gravel has been somewhat displaced by Banjo, the dog that I share with my parents. And this needs to be freshened up. So the stone is actually still good, but in this area in particular, it's kind of mixed with dirt. So I'm going to remove the stone, clean it, relay the landscape fabric, and put it back. I've already started reworking the borders here. The borders are made out of a natural stone that I pulled out of the yard as we were landscaping, so it's a free material. I quite like it. I like the aesthetic of it. It came from this area, so it looks like it belongs to me. On this side, I'm still halfway through pulling out the border. So over time, as plants drop debris and other stuff, the mulch decomposes and your soil grows a little bit. So our border was actually way back here, and just because the amount of debris that has fallen over the years, or my parents have gardeners, they just blow all the debris into the planter beds and then they grow. And so our border here was completely covered. So I am excavating it and resetting it over here. So that's just something that might happen. Here's a good example of what it looked like before I started pulling it apart. So you could still see it. It just looks sad, overgrown and tired. And so really just to clean this up, pull it out, reset it. This is a Canary Island palm. They're very beautiful palms, but this doesn't belong here. I want this to be the highlight up here. So this needs to be removed. But also when you let a palm grow, its roots are really fibrous. And so it's taking up a lot of growing space. So between the roots from that tree and the roots from this baby tree, I'm really losing plantable space in this area. So I want this to go. I'm gonna stick with succulents in these general areas around the palm tree because they do well with not a lot of soil space, and they're gonna be in competition with this tree. So resetting this area over here, it's kind of a mess. I think we're done with that area. We love our benches in this area over here. I think that they came out so nice. I love having built-in furniture when you have a fire pit area. However, they are tired. The stain has worn off over the last 7 years. So I'm going to be using a brightener and a cleaner and then restain these as well. But first I'm going to use my pressure washer to really get that going. The fireplace really has needed no maintenance at all. The only thing that I would say is that I started out with mixed colors of different fiberglass, and over the years, my nieces and nephews have kind of scattered them around. It's fine. I mean, I definitely don't recommend kids touch fiberglass, but kids are gonna do what kids do. So, but generally, I'm just gonna leave this as is. I might clean up a few debris. I'll bring a blow over here and blow off some of the leaves. But nothing has really been done to this area. The stone was sealed a long time ago. It still looks really good to me. And the stones that we used on the front of this were from the yard as well. So we created a CMU block base, and then we went ahead and mortared on our stones with a fire brick on the inside for heat. All right, so this area, I planted this tree with my brother when I left to college, and it's grown quite large, but it hasn't been maintained. My mom loves the peaches, which are great. They are really, really good and juicy, but as you can see in some of these areas up here, you never really want to have that many peaches on a branch. This branch right here is breaking with the weight of all of this fruit and new growth. So this tree has not been maintained. I'm going to go ahead and let it continue to fruit this season, and when we get into the off season, I'm gonna go ahead and try to reshape it a little bit. This planter bed in particular, I love the footprint. I like that you can walk on all sides of it. Functionally, I think it's great. When we first created this planter about 7 years ago, the soil was all the way up to the top, a few inches below. And over time, that soil has compressed as it's lost nutrients, as some of the different particles and organic matter gets used up by the plants. This also sat dormant for probably a year or two, and we're just starting to use it again. There's a lot of weeds here. So pulling out these weeds to maintain it is one thing. We also turned the irrigation back on so that the soil would stay moist, which would be good. My mom put a tomato cage on the strawberry. Maybe we'll be lucky that the strawberry gets big enough that we'll need it, but this is largely unnecessary. Over here though, we do have our cherry tomatoes that some of my nieces and nephews planted. We have a lot of empty space here. So I would say this is a half-assed garden that is giving us just enough, but de-weeding it, adding the soil back up here. I'll probably wait till these finish this season, and then in the off season, come back, refill up the soil, pull that irrigation back up, and then keep the moisture and add some amendments to it and start fresh next year. So we're just gonna get by this year. So this area down here, I quite like the stone steps that we have mixed with the urbanite. Over time, Banjo has tossed a bunch of the rocks this way, so we are slowly removing them and putting them back where they belong. But this is 7 years of just doing nothing. So pulling those back, refreshing these steps. I might want to refresh some of the succulents and redefine the garden spaces in these areas here. When it comes to your landscape, if there's no maintenance, you really can lose it. And that's a great way of losing your investment. Luckily for this area, the gravel stays good, just needs to be reset. All of this hardscape is fine too. It just needs to be freshened up a little bit. But generally, I would recommend doing like a deep clean every like 2 to 3 years, and that will really help maintain your landscape over time. But this is a good example of doing nothing over 7 years. But you really can still salvage the garden. So stay tuned for the next videos where we refresh all this stuff and I show you what it can look like again with maybe a few weekend warrior efforts.